Out on the open sea, far from the noise of cities and the safety of harbors, Jack spotted something no sailor ever expects. A building, half submerged, rising from the ocean like a forgotten relic. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video. Alone on his modest fishing boat, the salty wind brushing against his face, Jack stared in disbelief. A structure like that? In the middle of nowhere? It didn't make sense. His instincts told him to steer away, head back to the shore, and forget he ever saw it. But curiosity is a powerful thing. Jack had tried his best to live a quiet life, especially after the chaos he left behind in the States. He came to France to disappear, to be just another fisherman. But this strange building? It pulled him in like a magnet. The closer he sailed, the more surreal it became. What looked small from a distance towered over his boat up close. The structure was huge, weathered, covered in algae, clearly untouched for decades. He circled it slowly, trying to find any sign of life, or at least a way in. Most of the windows were high up and sealed with iron bars, all but one. A shattered opening near the top gave him a sliver of hope. Jack knew this wasn't a smart idea, but it wasn't about logic anymore. He rummaged through his fishing gear, cut some strong rope from a net, and tied it to a hook. For the next half hour, he stood in the rocking boat, throwing the makeshift grappling hook again and again. His arms burned. Sweat soaked his shirt. But eventually, the hook caught on something solid inside the broken window. He tested the line. It held. By now, the sun had long vanished. Darkness swallowed the sea, and the building loomed like a ghost ship. Still, Jack climbed. The wall was slick, the rope unstable, but he made it. He pulled himself through the shattered window and landed hard inside. The air was thick with dust and mildew. He pulled out his phone and switched on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing a room frozen in time. Everything was draped in old tarps. Jack yanked one aside and stumbled back. Cannons, real cannons, rusted but massive. This was no ordinary building. It was a fort. But as Jack continued exploring, the mystery only deepened. Beneath the layers of history, something didn't add up. Between crates of ancient artifacts, he spotted blinking lights. A sleek device, digital, modern, sat wedged between rusted swords and musket balls. It was completely out of place. Jack's breath quickened. What was going on here? He pushed deeper into the fort, brushing past cobwebs, his flashlight casting eerie shadows on the walls. He felt like he was walking through 2 centuries at once. Then, in one of the side rooms, he spotted something else. An unmarked door. He hesitated, then pushed it open. What lay beyond made his stomach twist. It was like an arena. A central chamber with strange contraptions, ancient helmets and modern tech all jumbled together. It was as if someone had taken a battlefield from the past and merged it with a sci-fi movie set. Jack's heart pounded. Was this some kind of military experiment? A secret research base? Then, a shimmer of movement in the shadows. He froze. His instincts screamed at him to run, but his legs wouldn't move. Whatever it was disappeared as quickly as it came. Jack snapped out of it, turned around, and bolted. He didn't stop until he reached the same window he entered through and rappelled down the rope, shaking. Back in his boat, his hands trembled as he pulled out his phone. He had to tell someone. He couldn't keep this to himself. It wasn't just about what he'd seen. It was about what it meant. He called the authorities, barely able to form words. He reported everything. But as he hung up, doubt crept in. Would they believe him? Would he be arrested? Was this all just a terrible mistake? The answer came faster than expected. The police took his call seriously. Too seriously. By the time Jack returned to shore, it was already too late. The authorities had traced his call, triangulated his position, and launched an urgent search. He tried to lay low, sailing from cove to cove, but it wasn't enough. One foggy morning, the sea lit up with blue lights. Police boats encircled him. He cut the engine, raised his hands, and surrendered. He didn't resist. How could he? Everything he'd done was driven by curiosity. But now it looked like something far worse. Handcuffed and escorted back to land, Jack faced a whirlwind of legal accusations. Trespassing, property damage, endangering a historic site. Sitting in the interrogation room, the weight of it all finally crushed him. He tried to explain how he had no idea what the place was, how he had simply found it at sea and couldn't resist investigating. But the investigators didn't seem convinced. His story sounded absurd on paper. A lone American stumbling into a forgotten ocean fort filled with both ancient and modern artifacts? It sounded more like fiction than reality. Then, during a lull in questioning, one of the officers casually dropped a name: Fort Boyard. Jack perked up. That was it. The building. It had a name. The officer explained that Fort Boyard was a 19th-century fortress built to protect France's coast, but in recent decades, it had been repurposed, not as a base or military site, but a television set, a literal stage for a popular French game show filmed inside the walls of the historic building. Suddenly, everything clicked. The mix of antique and futuristic items, the eerie tech beside crumbling cannons, the strange devices and rooms that looked like sets. He hadn't stumbled into a secret military base. He'd accidentally broken into a TV production site. His heart dropped, half in relief and half in humiliation. What he'd thought was a life-altering discovery was a show set. The police reviewed his story again, this time through a different lens. Eventually, they dropped the harshest charges, understanding that his intent wasn't malicious. He was fined for trespassing and damaging the property, but spared prison time. When Jack finally left the police station, he breathed in the salty air like it was his first taste of freedom. He wasn't proud of what happened, but deep down, he knew one thing. No one would ever believe this story. A fisherman, a forgotten fort, a brush with the law, and a starring role in a mystery that turned out to be part of France's most famous reality game.